Hello and welcome back to the third episode of How to Train Your Building Skills. This time we go over terraforming, and unlike the other episodes where I showed you how did I get this far where I am right now or what have I learned over the time, we go through this and also what can I do to improve now, because in most of those things that I want to teach about I am confident in my skill and I would say I'm at a good level, but there is improvements in everything. That's why I want to make a second episode to every topic. But with terraforming, I'm right now at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm confident in that, but there are one or two things where I know it has to be better, and I have the first ideas myself on how may I improve those. So that's the thing that we will go through this time as well, so let's go and start. One of the first things I did is I looked at Minecraft's world generation and tried to copy that. You see this corner right now? I don't think you would believe that, yeah, that is not natural. But if you have seen the other episodes, you know it's not. If you look here at this side, yeah, you see it's just a staircase made out of dirt. But the corner itself, maybe not really that obvious. And that's the first thing. Go and do it like it would be in Minecraft, how you think it would look in Minecraft. And I can show you a picture how it looked before. But yeah, with that in mind, that's like the first step. It's not a big step, it's not a hard step. But with that, you kind of get a good feeling. For example, you see a lot of these curves in Minecraft world generation. Sometimes you have a little bit of spikes in it. And elevation, well, you have either flat stairs, you have a steep growth. There are different ways. So now you know what to kind of do. Just look at what you see and imitate it. But for the slopes, there are different ways, like just a staircase, nothing too special, pretty obvious when it's not in the world. Like, you don't really see things like this that much or at all. And there's a small natural staircase, but not completely. So another thing is to make indents, like take away a corner so that it is in a shape like this, or take the corner completely away so that you have to jump one way or the other for one block but can't jump diagonal because it's 2 blocks for the 1 block versions. Of course, you can make those stairs 2 blocks, 3 blocks wide, and with this get another angle like here where it's even, oh yeah, that's a good example. 3, 4, 3, 3, 4, and then more. So it's not that steep, it's slowly rising. And when you do something like this, a good thing is to put those curves, maybe in inward curves, outwards curves, whereas one like this, because yeah, you have enough space when you make it wider, and then it looks a little bit more natural. Of course, if you want to go higher, you make it like here, a little bit where 2 blocks difference is, so not everywhere is jumpable as a player. And for this you get it a little bit steeper. How I did this was I made a top layer and then got into 2 block high staircase down. If I want to go further, I would go 3. If I want to go further than this, I probably would start mixing stone in there. But yeah, after I have made this, I add the corners in different heights, remove blocks, add blocks, whatever I think fits, make it a little bit random, and then you get those steeper cliffs. Now, that's in terms of how to make the most easy things when you just work with dirt, and how the first good step is for going for it. So I mentioned those curves, and I like to do them really round, like you would do for a circle. but try to have it a little bit asymmetrical. Like, yeah, there I took the last 4 blocks away. I just don't count, I take a little bit more away here, and then through this, let's take a little bit more away. We get those curves, so it looks a little bit more natural. Make it in a lot of different ways because it helps. And for example, have 3 or 4 long block chains. Through this, you, like I said, get a really lot of different kinds of curves and make it a little bit natural. The other thing you have are the spikes, but they are not that easy for me to do, so I most of the time do not really do them, but in the end it's all blending curves and spikes together again to make your ground, to make your shape, whatever you want to have it. So there is the thing, it's just trying and trying. There's not a lot of things you can do otherwise, and just trying things out until you like them. So just make it round, even the spike part. Maybe if you want to have it a little more pointy, add more, and through this you get the shapes you want. You can put them with the slopes, with the not so steep ones like this one. I mean, here's kind of a spike, and you see those rounded areas. If you want to have it more diagonal, you don't go for a clean circle, because in a clean circle I would just add longer and longer ways of dirt, like this. So it's more circle-like, but if I don't want to have this, I put in some 1 block or 2 block gaps, I would say, in the way to make it a little bit more diagonal. And that's for the first thing, the really easy thing, what to do. But I would say terraforming is not only this. As a good first step, just look at the world generation. There are other steps, like you look for pictures. What did other people do? What do they do in videos? But pictures are a little bit better for terraforming. And you copy this. Same with the buildings, you copy, but there it is how you work. You either look at how terraforming is done and realize why they did what they did, or realize the pattern that is in there. Like for me, I explain things with circles, with curves, because that's the pattern I see, and that's what I'm going for. If I would be more understanding, then I would explain the function of it, why it is the way it is. If you want to go for really good things, you start, like I said, with looking at pictures, what did they do in videos, and look at this. Then you start with maybe looking at real things and go for it. And through this you learn more and more things, go for more and more things. But yeah, that's part of it. So next thing we will go over how I would do some different kind of cliffs, kind of stone walls, and texturing of the terraforming. And when we come to the texturing, that's the part where I know I have to do better, I can do better, and that's what I'm trying to do. So we will figure this then out together. And I said next things are stony cliffs, so actually just steeper slopes, and they are more with stone. If you want to have stony ones, like right behind me there, then you just leave the dirt away and you have it in pure stone. But they are actually just the same thing as the ones with dirt, but I put stone in there. Who would have guessed? And you can just make it bigger and bigger. So the dirt one, I had 2 blocks for the steps. This time I had 3. And if you want to go bigger, you go 4, 5, whatever you want. That's pretty easy. It's the same thing. I would say you start with the top layer, how you want to have it, like the curves. Who would have guessed everything comes together? or the natural things that are spawned, like I would go from this area. So that's what you take, go in the staircase way, and you kind of get a pointy cliff. That's nice, right? That's what you want. But the next step, which I would say is besides the form, is texturing. And especially for stone, I think that's a good thing to just randomize things. I like to take andesite and tough, or if I want to have it a little bit darker, deep slate, depending on what you use. Just 2 other blocks, maybe some coarse dirt in there as well, and just randomly put other things in there, like for the buildings, like for the wood walls or stone walls for a castle. Texturing like this really does help. I mean, if you look at this cliff and then at this one, there is a difference, and I would say the one in the middle looks better than the one on the left. Now, another way is, which I'm not as good, but I want to learn more like a gradient. If you see, there's a lot of tuff down there and a little more andesite, but if you go up, it's less and less tuff and more andesite and more stone, and on top looking for mostly stone and andesite, which is not really that good to see in the small one. In a bigger version, definitely better. Have to do more, but it is something else, and I would say it's even a little bit better. Good. It's not that easy to see in the small version, and I definitely haven't done the best I can, or as I want to, in this small hill, but I think it's an upgrade, and that's the upgrade I have to learn. Now, besides them being stony or with grass on top, there are only one other thing of cliff I can think of, and you may have seen it while I was flying around, you may have not. And that's just like an overhang. Instead of becoming all pointy, you have overhangs. Now, the making of those are actually kind of just the reverse of them. Instead of going down, you go up. When you go stairways up. I start those not with how I want to have them on top and then go down. I start them with having a border on the ground and then going up in the staircase, but then it's the same thing. Take blocks away, put them on there, make it like those, just turned upside down, and without a point, without a top, because that would be in the ground. And there as well, just put in some random blocks, texture it this way. It adds something, it makes it look better. On those, even in a smaller version, you see a gradient, you see it more, you see it better, like how I have tough. I forgot a little bit more andesite in the top part, but tough, a little bit of andesite, really little stone, less tough, more andesite, and then only andesite and stone on top. Like gradients. Gradients are a nice thing. They are a thing I have to learn. I have to get better at. And right now I'm only capable of doing them at walls. Not that great. But it's something. So yeah, those are cliffs. How I would terraform cliffs. It's just the same as before. And I would say that goes for everything. If you want to terraform anything, it's pretty good to just go with curves, even if you want to end pointy or more like a circle. Go with staircases and then add blocks, detract blocks, till you have somewhat of a random shape that feels good, feels natural to you. Of course, there are other ways of terraforming. I, for example, like to watch Minecraft. And if you watched Season 10, Gem, Nighthaze and Green Space, the terraforming there with the texturing of their cliffs, of the mountain, Randog and False Symmetry with their own biomes, Season 9, Pearl's alien biome, so there are differences. There are steps upwards a lot, but that's a good thing to start. Now the other thing is, they look nice. I would say those cliffs here look nice. If they would be not copy and pasted and a little bit different, it would be even cooler. But there are differences. There are different things I'm not capable of really good, is how to integrate them in normal generated worlds. I, for example, have the problem I take it too long. So if I would put those three in there at the wall, I would try to have a transition like this with the less and less texturing and go more and more into the normal world generation. And I definitely would always go 10 or 15 blocks farther than I actually want to. Not a nice solution. I have a hard cut like here, or I just hide the difference between the place I want to terraform and the place I don't even work with a tower or some other build. And they are not the best solutions, but they are solutions. And I know sometimes you watch videos and then you are like, I want to build something, I want to play Minecraft myself while I watch this video or that let's play even. And you have work to do, you have school to do, you have something to do, you don't have that time, you don't want to experiment, you don't want to try things out. But you want to build something, you want to build a cool cliff. You clicked on that video because you were looking for a tutorial or help with building cliffs. And all I'm saying is look at stuff and show you stuff. I know, not that helpful, but fun aside. Then still do it. Even if you use those cheat options, still do it, because I know I have a long way to go to become even better at things, video making, building in Minecraft. But then again, if I would wait until I get better and don't do it, I will not get better. If I don't do it, there will be no change. So I started with those videos that I did and the How to Turn Your Building Skills series. Of course, I'm not perfect and I have to learn, but that's one of the reasons why I'm doing those. To get better, to help people to get better, and because I have fun. And that's what I can tell you to do as well with terraforming. And for me now, texturing the terraforming, which is the last thing I want to go over. Because now I made the cliffs, yeah, that looks nice, but how would I do it with just the ground, with the dirt? And then I would say let's go to that last bit. So how would I do the ground? Well, currently I would just randomly put in there some blocks, some different blocks, cursed dirt, mossy cobblestone, moss, like I did in my Create Survival World and the Let's Play there. And if I come back again, I would add some buttons as stone and some grass, which, let's be honest, it doesn't look bad, to be honest, especially with the grass and the buttons, but I don't think it looks good if you have too much of it. Like from afar, it's okay, it's a little upgrade, but not that much. The one with all the grass and extra stones, yeah, that's an upgrade. But it's nothing for a huge space, because it just isn't that appealing. So why not use gradients? But instead of going from up to down, it goes from one point outwards or another point outwards. Now, I think that looks even better than this one. I have no idea how it looks in a bigger area, because it's the first time I did this. I just had the idea, the realization that maybe this way, texturing the ground that I terraformed or the ground that I built on could look better. I was thinking of maybe trying some things out and show you the best result, but no, this is my first result. From where you see the stones to the dirt that's really hard, to the dirt that's a little bit softer, but still not a lot of grass growing, to grass, to the lush moss. So I think that's an upgrade, and this time I just came up with it through other things I've learned. Another way to become better. And yeah, I still believe there is a lot of things I need to change, I need to become better at, combine things. But that's what I can do right now, and that's what I wanted to show and wanted to tell how I got there. And how I got to even something new. But with that out of the way, I would say that's it. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you have other tips, if you have other topics you want to know about, write them in the comments as well. And with that being said, be a good cookie, and until next time, see ya.